இந்த பதிவு உங்களுக்கு பிடிச்சிருந்தா மறக்காம லைக் பண்ணுங்க, ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க, கமெண்ட் பண்ணுங்க, சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுங்க. நன்றி, வணக்கம். வாழ்க வையகத்தோர்.
Number 1. Read the following statements about golden algae and select the one which is false. Chrysophytes include diatoms and golden algae. They are found in freshwater as well as marine environments. They are unicellular and eukaryotic and are included under the kingdom Protista. They are photosynthetic and can produce their own food material. So the answer for this question is option B. They belong to Plantae. So that is the wrong statement. Question number 2. Amal suffers from liver failure and he is advised liver transplantation. He has been advised a medicine help him accept the donor liver. What could be the medicine and what could be the source from which it is commercially obtained? Cyclosporin A is a bioactive molecule that is derived from the fungus Trichoderma polysporum. It is used as a immunosuppressive agent in organ transplant patients. Usually, the donor organs can excite an immune reaction in the recipient body, and the donor organs, in this case, the liver, will be rejected by the patient. Amol needs an immunosuppressive agent to accept the donor liver in his body. So, the answer for this question is option C. Drug Cyclosporin A, organism Trichoderma. So, the correct option is C. Question number 3. Jay fell ill after having sandwich which was kept in refrigerator, but bacteria or viruses do not survive in cold temperatures. So which response must have microorganisms adapted to in order to survive? There are 4 major ways through which an organism can cope with stressful conditions: by regulating the constant body temperature, by changing their body temperature with not maintain constant body temperature, by getting conformed, migration to the comfortable area, and return when the stressful periods gets over, and suppression of their activities that help to survive stressful conditions. Example: bacteria, fungi, and lower plants form thick-walled spores. So the answer for this question is option C, suspension. Question number 4. According to the 3 domain classification, Methanococcus and Rhizobium belongs to. The 3 domain system proposed by Carl Woese divides kingdom Monera into 3 domains on the basis of differences in 16S ribosomal RNA genes, archaea, and bacteria. The third domain is Eukaryota, which has all eukaryotes. Also, there are 6 kingdoms: Archaebacteria in domain Archaea, Eubacteria in domain Bacteria and Protista, fungi, Plantae, and Animalia in the domain Eukaryotes. Methanococcus lies Archaebacteria in domain Archaea, and Rhizobium lies in Eubacteria in domain Bacteria. So the answer for this question is option C, different domains and different kingdom. So the correct option is C. Question number 5. Identify the true or false statements about the sewage treatment plants. Water is more polluted if biological oxygen demand is high, as BOD denotes the amount of oxygen required to digest the organic matter present in the sewage. Frogs are formed by aerobic bacteria. Activated sludge act as inoculum in aeration tanks. In activated sludge, digesters gases methane, hydrogen sulfide, and carbon dioxide are formed, which is flammable, and it is called biogas. So the answer for this question is option C. Statement 1 is false, second statement also false, third statement also false, fourth statement alone true. From the given 4 statements, first 3 statements are false, the last one is true. So the correct option is C. Question number 6. The population of city was 6,000 in the year 2090. There were 2050 new births in the city and 650 deaths. 1325 people migrated into the city while 175 people left the city. What was be the population of the city at the end of the year 2019? Births and immigration increase population, while deaths and emigration decreases the population. Population at the end of 2019 is equal to initial population plus birth plus immigration minus deaths minus emigration equal to 6000 plus 2050 plus 1325 minus 650 minus 175 equal 8550. So the answer for this question is option C, 8550. Question number 7. Which of the following statements are correct about the cellular organization? Here there are 4 statements are given. Mesochilea is undifferentiated layer of cells present in between the ectoderm and endoderm in diploblastic animals. Example, coelenterids. Mesoderm is the third germinal layer present in between the ectoderm and endoderm in triploblastic animals. Example, platyhelminthes, chordates, etc. So out of 4 statements, first and fourth statements are correct statements about cellular organization. So the correct option is D. Question number 8. Ligands are symbiotic association between two organisms. Which of these statements about them true? Ligands are symbiotic associations between algae and fungi. The autotrophic algal component is called picobiont and the heterotrophic fungal component is called as mycobiont. All prepare food material for fungi and fungi provide shelter and absorb mineral nutrients and water from its partner. Ligands are very good pollutant indicators. They do not grow in polluted areas and in cities. Ligands are pioneers in xerosphere type of ecological successions on barren rocks. So the answer for this question is option C. They are pioneers of vegetation on rocks. So the 9. From the given options, identify the options which has the family and class. The family name of wheat is Poaceae and class is Monocotyledone. The family name of the housefly is Mucidae and the class is Insecta. The family name of mosquito is Colicidae and the class is Insecta. Solanaceae is a family of flowering plants called the potato family. Example, tomato, belladonna, etc. So the answer for this question is option C. Wheat family Poaceae. Question number 12. The following options have the property of fungus paired with its examples. Which of these are an incorrect pair? In picomycetes, these asexual spores are endogenously produced in sporangium. Example, mucor. In ascomycetes, gonidia are the asexual spores. Gonidia produced exogenously on the special mycelium called gonidiopause. Example, penicillium. In deuteromycetes or imperfect fungi, only the asexual or vegetative phases of these fungi are known. Example, Alternaria. In basidiomycetes, asexual spores are not found but asexual reproduction is seen in the form of fragmentation. Example, Agaricus. In Agaricus, it is commonly called as mushroom. Asexual spores called chlamydospore on dicheratic mycelium, which on germination during favorable condition produce dicheratic mycelium. So the answer for this question is option C. Asexual reproduction is absent in Agaricus. It belongs to question number 13. Identify the correct match between the organism and appropriate reproductive structures. Algae reproduce by forming zoospores. Penicillium reproduces by forming conidia. Hydra by buds and sponge by gemmules. These are asexual reproductive structures. The organism form these reproductive structures which grow into new organisms and detach from the parent or sometimes remain attached to parents. Example, yeast. They are genetically similar to their parents. So the answer for this question is option D. Number 14. Identify the correct number of food chains in the given food web. In an ecosystem, the various food chains are interconnected with each other to form network called food web. The interlocking of many food chains called food web. Simple food chains are very rare in nature. This is because each organism may obtain food from more than one trophic level. In other words, one organism forms food for more than one organism on the higher trophic level. So the answer for this question is option C. 6. From the given diagrammatic representation, there are 6 food chains are given. Question number 15. Which of these muscles don't exist in animals? Skeletal muscles are striated muscles with voluntary control. Visceral muscles are non-striated muscles with involuntary control. Cardiac muscles also striated but have branching. They also have involuntary control. There are no muscles which are unstriated and voluntary. So the answer for this question is option D. Unstriated in appearance and voluntary in action. So the correct option is D. Question number 16. Each of these plants, the diploid stage of their life is dependent on the haploid stage of their life. Bryophytes have haplodiploidic life cycle in which haploid gametophyte is a dominant, independent, photosynthetic, thalloid or erect, and it alternates with short-lived multicellular sporophyte totally or partially dependent on the gametophyte for its anchorage and nutrition. Rexia and Morgansia are liverworts, a type of bryophyte. In gymnosperms, including Cygus and Pinus, and in angiosperms, hibiscus, diplontic life cycle in which sporophyte is independent. In pteridophytes, Neprolepis and Adiantum, the sporophyte and gametophyte both are photosynthetic and independent. So the answer for this question is option A, Rexia and Morgantia. So the correct option is A. Question number 17. Which of the following plants have albuminous seeds? Here, castor, sunflower and barley are seeds whose endosperm is not completely consumed during embryonic development. Such seeds are called as albuminous seeds. Pea and groundnut are examples of non-albuminous seeds. Endosperm completely consumed. Black pepper is an example of seed where the nucellus persists. The persistent nucellus is called perisperm. So the answer for this question is option D. Wheat, castor, sunflower and barley. Question number 18. A fowl consumes grains. What we call the rate at which new organic matter is produced by this fowl? The amount of biomass or organic matter produced by plants by photosynthesis per unit area and over a period of time is called primary productivity. It is divided into gross and net primary productivity. The rate of production of organic matter by plants through photosynthesis is called gross primary productivity, and the net primary productivity is the availability of biomass for consumption by heterotrophs. The rate at which new organic matter is produced by consumer is called secondary productivity. Here fowls or chicken is a consumer. So the answer for this question is option D, secondary productivity. Question number 19. Identify 1, 2 and 3 and select the correct option. Each actin, that is thin filament, is made up of 2 F, that is filamentous actins, helically wound to each other. Each F actin is a polymer of monomeric G, that is globular actins. 2 filaments of another protein, tropomyosin, also run close to the F actins throughout its length. A complex protein troponin is distributed at regular intervals on the tropomyosin. So the answer for this question is option B. First one is each actin filament is made up of 2 F actins helically wound. Second one is 2 filaments of tropomyosin run close to F actin. Third one is troponin is distributed at regular intervals. So the correct option is B. Question number 20. Answer accurately describes the correct description of flagella in algae. In Chlorophyceae, it is service called as green algae. Motile cells has 2 to 8 equal apical flagella. In Rhodophyceae, it is service called as red algae. Flagella are absent. In Paeophyceae, it is service called as brown algae. Motile spores are biflagellate and the flagella are unequal and lateral. So the answer for this question is option D. In Paeophyceae, motile spores are biflagellate and flagella are unequal and lateral. So the correct option is D. Question number 21. A plant breeder wants to obtain a superior quality maize crop. What are the sequence of events he must follow to pollinate the maize flower with the chosen pollen? Emasculation is performed when a flower is bisexually and we do not want the pollen from the same flower to pollinate. It is always called as self-pollination and contaminate the results. Maize has unisexual flowers. Its female flowers do not have anther and hence emasculation process is not needed. So the answer for this question is option A. Bagging, it is followed by dusting of pollen, it is followed by rebagging. So the correct option is A. Question number 22. Not a part of the evil quartet. Four major causes of biodiversity loss which include habitat loss and fragmentation, over exploitation of natural resources by human. Example, rainforest destroyed for cultivation, alien species invasion. Example, introduction of Nile perch led to the destruction of species of cichlid fish. Co-extinctions, for examples, co-extinctions of passenger pigeon and its parasitic bird lice columbicola, extinctus and Campanolotus defectus, shifting endangered species out of the natural habitat to a special setting is a type of ex situ conservation. So the answer for this question is option B. Shifting endangered species out of the natural habitat to special settings. So the correct option is B. Question number 23. While examining his knee jerk, Suresh doctor found that there was no response, but Suresh informs that he could feel the tandem hammer touching his knee. Where is the problem likely to be? Receptors, afferent fibers and dorsal root ganglion are all part of the sensory pathway. As Suresh could feel, the touch of the hammer is sensory pathway is normal. He could not respond because the problem is with the motor pathway or the efferent pathway. So the answer for this question is option D, efferent pathway. Question number 24. Which of these statements regarding modified roots and stem is incorrect? Asparagus has fasciculated root that arise in bunch from the lower node of the stem and become fleshy for storage of food. It is a type of modified adventitious root. Underground stems of potato, it is commonly called as tuber. Ginger and turmeric are commonly called as rhizome. Zamankind and colocasia called as corm are used for food storage and vegetative propagation. Onion is a modified underground stem called the bulb. The stem is reduced and has disc-like structure and surrounds with numerous fleshy scale leaves. So the answer for this question is option C. Underground stem of potato, ginger, turmeric, zamankind and colocasia are modified for photosynthesis. Question number 25. Which of the following is incorrect regarding biodiversity? Moving from equator towards the poles, species diversity decreases with the polar region having fewer species than tropic areas. To save the biodiversity, whole ecosystem has to be protected and this approach is called in situ conservation. Sacred groves are the type of situ conservation. Sacred groves were made by setting aside tracts of forest and all the trees and wildlife within which respected and given total protection. So the answer for this question is option D. First and third statement alone incorrect. The remaining statements are correctly given. So the answer is which part likely to be affected in the ear when an individual feels giddiness, loses body balance and suffers from ear disease. The Crista and macula are the specific receptors of the vestibular apparatus responsible for the maintenance of the balance of the body and posture. Crista ampullaris is present in the semicircular ducts. It is responsible for dynamic equilibrium. The macula of the utricle and macula of the sacculus is present in the vestibule. They are responsible for static equilibrium. So the answer for this question is option C. Crista ampullaris and macula. Question number 27. Which structures does a cell need for movement? Cell shape is given by the cytoskeleton and it is made up of microtubules, actin filaments and intermediate filaments. These structures also help organize and cell spots, and in addition they form the basis for cellular movement and cellular division. So the answer for this question is all of these are structures does the cell need for movement. So the correct option is D. Question number 28. Which of the following statement are accordance with the observation of geographer Alexander von Humboldt? According to geographer Alexander von Humboldt, with increased area, species richness also increases. According to him, a rectangular hyperbola represents the relation between species richness and area for a wide variety of taxa. He observed that within a region species richness increased with increasing explored area, but only up to a limit. But on a logarithmic scale, a straight line represents this relationship described by the question number 32. Reena gave birth to mentally retarded child who also had stunted growth. The doctor informed that the child condition was because of some endocrine problems in the mothers during pregnancy. Which of the following is most likely to be the cause? Hypo, that is low thyroid hormone level during pregnancy, causes defective development and maturation of the growing baby, leading to stunted growth. It is generally called as cretinism. Mental retardation, low intelligence, abnormal skin, deaf mutism. So the answer for this question is option D. Low secretion of thyroid hormone from the thyroid gland. Question number 33. Which of the following statements are correct about the plant known as terror of Bengal? Plant Licornia crassips is known as terror of Bengal. It grows abundantly in eutrophic water bodies and can cause block in waterways. They give distinct color to water and are extremely harmful to fishes. They grow rapidly and are responsible for imbalance in water body ecosystem. They are native to Brazil and were introduced in India by the British. So the answer for this question is option C. Second, third and fourth statements are correct about the plant terror of Bengal. So the correct option is C. Question number 34. The mismatched pair among the following is ADLP is a condition in which the stamens are joined together only by the filaments while the anthers are free. If there is only one bundle of stamen, it is called monodalpy. This is commonly seen in hibiscus. If there are two bundles of stamen, it is called diadalpy in gram and pea. If there are more than two bundles of stamens, is called polyadalpy. This is commonly seen in citrus and castor. In cucurbita, anthers as well as filaments of stamens are united through their whole length. This is called synandry. Solvinism with variable length of filaments which helps in pollination by insects. So the answer for this question is option B. Diadalpus cucurbita. From the given four pairs, option B is mismatched. So the correct option is B. Question number 35. Repeatedly due to infections. The doctor says it's because his immunity is lowered owing to his old age. Which of the following is likely to be affected? Thymus gland secretes hormones called thymosin. Thymosin plays a major role in the differentiation of T lymphocytes, which provide cell-mediated immunity and also promote production of antibodies to provide humoral immunity. Thymus is degenerated in old individuals, resulting in the decreased production of thymosins. As a result, the immune responses of old person become weak. The answer for this question is option D, thymus. Question number 36. Read the following statements about the living plant tissues which has irregular thickening and identify the false statement. The living plant tissue which has irregular thickening is called collenchyma. The thickenings are made up of pectin between the cells. Thus, there is no free intercellular space. In dicostem, the hypodermis consists of few layers of collenchyma cells and it provides mechanical support to young stem. In monocostem, the hypodermis is made up of sclerenchymatous. It is absent in roots. So the incorrect statements are second and third. So the correct option is B. From the given four statements, 57. Match the content of the following columns. Jellyfish belong to the phylum Cnidaria and have tissue layer organization. Sponges belong to phylum Porifera and have cellular levels organization. Hirudinaria, commonly called as leech, belong to the phylum Annelida and have organ system level organization. Taenia belong to phylum Platyhelminthes and have organ level organization. So the correct option for this question is option B. Question number 38. Which of the following system is responsible for uniform mixture of oxygen in stirred tank bioreactor? A stirred tank reactor is usually cylindrical or with curve base to facilitate the mixing of the reactor contents. This stirrer facilitates even mixing of oxygen availability throughout the bioreactor. Alternatively, air can be bubbled through the reactor in a spared stir tank bioreactor. A general bioreactor has an agitator system, an oxygen delivery system, and foam control system, a temperature control system, pH control system, and a sampling port so that small volumes of the culture can be withdrawn periodically. The agitator system ensures the uniform mixing of oxygen and contents of solution. So the answer for this question is option A, agitator system. Question number 39. What is the correct differences between the following diagrams? Here there are two diagrams are given. One is the cross section of dicot leaf, while the second diagram is the cross section of monocot leaf. In dicot leaf, mesophyll cells are differentiated into palisade cells which are closely packed and spongy cells which are loosely placed. In dicot leaf, stomata are present on the lower surface. The substomatal chambers are present only on the lower surface. In monocot leaf, stomata are present on the upper as well as lower surface of the leaves. The substomatal chambers are present only on both the surfaces. So the answer for this question is option D, absence of palisade tissue. So that is the answer for this question. Question number 40. If Levitt's hypothesis is to be believed, then the opening and closing of stomata takes place as a result of dash in and out of God cells. According to Levitt proton pump theory, entry of potassium ions in the God cells from surrounding epidermal cells in exchange of protons causes opening of stomata. This exchange of protons and potassium ions requires energy and thus is an active process. Increases the osmotic concentration of God cells causing endoosmosis. This makes the God cell target causing opening of stomata. So the answer for this question is option B, active transport potassium ions. Other than which of the following temporary remedies have question number 43. Choose the incorrect statement about mesosomes. A special membranous structure is the mesosome, which is formed by the extensions of plasma membrane into the cell. These extensions are the form of vesicles, tubules, and lamellae. They help in cell wall formation, DNA replication, and the distribution of daughter cells. They also help in respiration, secretion processes to increase the surface area of the plasma membrane and enzymatic content. In some prokaryotes like cyanobacteria, there are other membranous extensions into the cytoplasm called chromatopores which contain pigments. The answer for this question is option C. They are found in cytoplasm of some prokaryotes like cyanobacteria. Question number 44. Two molecules of the primary carbon dioxide in Calvin cycle undergoes photorespiration. How many glycine molecules will be formed from it? At high temperature and low concentration of carbon dioxide, C3 plants undergo photorespiration. In photorespiration, instead of carbon dioxide, atmospheric oxygen combines with RUBP to form one molecule of 3-PGA, that is 3 carbon compound, and one molecule of phosphoglycolate, that is 2 carbon compound. In chloroplast, 3-PGA enters the Calvin cycle while the phosphoglycode dephosphorylated to form glycolate, that is 2 carbon compound, which is then transported to the peroxisome. In the peroxisome, glycolate gets oxidized to form glyoxylate. Oxalate then gets converted to amino acid glycine, which is transported to mitochondria. Thus, one molecule of RUBP give rise to one molecule of glycine. So, the answer for this question is option B. 2. There are 2 glycine molecules are formed. Question number 45. People who are not produce the lactose digesting enzyme lactase. This happens because lactase producing gene is shut off in their cells connected to the digestive system. Which of the following process is not occurring for the mentioned gene? Gene regulation is the mechanism of controlling expressions of genes in the cell's DNA. To produce its protein, it must get transcribed. If it is not transcribed, then its protein will not be formed. Similarly, if lactase is not formed, a lactose intolerant individual, that means the gene of making the enzyme is not getting transcribed in the intolerant person. So the answer for this question is option D, transcription. Question number 46. Which of the following components of the phosphorylation are not found in stroma lamellae? When only P1 is functional, the electron is circulated within the photosystem and the Phosphorylation occurs due to the cyclic flow of electrons. A possible location where this could be happening is in the stroma lamellae. While the membrane or lamellae of the granae have both PS1 and PS2, the stroma lamellae membrane lacks PS2 as well as NADP reductase enzyme. The excited electrons does not pass on NADP but cycled back to PS1 complex through electron transport chain. The cyclic flow of electrons result only in the synthesis of ATP but not of NADPH2. So the answer for this question is option D, both A and C. Question number 47. Question number 47. Identify embryo. Scutellum in monocots. Cotyledons are centrally placed in dicots. Plumule is the stem tip and the radicle is the root tip in dicots. Coleoptile and coleorhiza in the stem tip at root tip in monocots respectively. Dicotyledonous zygote gives rise to a globular heart-shaped embryo. So the answer for this question is option C. Second and third statements about the angiospermic embryo is correct. So the correct option is C. Question number 48. Krebs cycle starts with the formation of 6 carbon compound by a reaction between. Krebs cycle starts with the condensation of acetyl with oxaloacetic acid and water to yield citric acid. It has 3 carboxylic acid groups, hence it also called as tricarboxylic acid cycle. This reaction catalyzed by the enzyme citrate synthase and the molecule of COA is a real. For this question is option C, oxaloacetic acid and acetyl CoA. Question number 49. Given below is the representation of very important process in the construction of biomolecules. Choose the correct statement about this process from the following. Translation is process found in the protein synthesis. Amino acids are polymerized to make polypeptide chain. The order and the sequence in which the amino acids joined is determined by the sequence of bases found in the transcribed mRNA. This occurs in ribosomes where the tRNA brings the amino acids as per the sequence. This is what is represented in the given image of questions. Replication is a process where DNA is duplicated and new copies are made. Transcription is the process of making new mRNA from DNA which will later participate in the protein synthesis. Translation. Respiration is the process of breaking down glucose to generate energy in the form of ATP. So the answer for this question is option B. This process takes place in the ribosome where the tRNA carries the amino acid as per the mRNA sequence. So the correct option is B. Question number 50. Aerobic respiration of glucose produces ATP. How many of them are produced during electron transport system? Electron transport system is responsible for the oxidation of reduced coenzymes. One NADH passes through electron transport system to release 3 ATP, while one FADH2 passes through electron transport system to release 2 ATP molecules. One molecule of glucose produces 10 NADH, that is 2 from glycolysis, 2 from link reactions and 6 from Krebs cycle. Thus 30 ATP molecules will be formed from them. One molecule of glucose also produces 2 FADH2 from Krebs cycle. 4 ATP will be formed from them. Thus total ATP produced from electron transport system is 34. So the answer for this question is option B. Question number 51. 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid is used to eliminate dash weeds from the dash crop field. Auxin 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid is used to kill dicotyledonous or broadal weeds. Auxin 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid is used to kill Auxin 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid is used to kill dicotyledonous or broadleaf weeds. It does not affect mature monocotyledonous plants. It is used to prepare weed-free lawns by gardens. So the answer for this question is option B, dicotyledonous monocot. Question number 52. A sample of live microbial cells was presented to a scientist. He decides to stop the synthesis of particular protein in the sample cells. suggests a modification in the part of the cells for the scientist to enable the prevention of that particular protein synthesis. DNA is considered to the blueprint of an organism. If the DNA is altered, it will alter the organism character also. DNA contains genes which are responsible for synthesis of proteins. Thus, altering or modifying the DNA can result in the transcription or no transcription for the particular protein. In this case, the scientist needs to modify the DNA using genetic engineering to disable protein synthesis. So the answer for this question is option A, the DNA in the nucleus. Question number 53. Identify the correct statements regarding cytokinins. Cytokinins induce cell division. They promote nutrient metabolism, which helps in the delay of the leaf senescence. Cytokinins helps overcome the apical dominance, and in this aspect, it is antagonistic to auxin. So the answer for this question is option A. From the given four statements, first, second, third, and fourth, all the four statements are correct regarding cytokinins. So the correct option is A. Question number 54. Which one of the following statement about erythrocytes is false? The erythrocytes are otherwise called as RBCs, are cells of blood produced by the red bone marrow in adults and by liver in fetal stage. The liver also help in the destroying old and worn out RBCs. These cells contain respiratory pigments, hemoglobin, which act as buffer as it can bind to a small amount of acid in the blood, helping to remove that acid before it fluctuates the pH of blood. These RBCs also tend to aggregate, thereby increasing the viscosity of blood. However, the quantity of RBC in blood is approximately 5.5 million per cubic mm of blood in one tiny droplet of blood. So the answer for this question is option D. The total quantity of RBC in human male body is around 5.5 million. Question number 55. Denaturation is a step in the procedure called polymerase chain reaction. This step does not involve which of the following process? R stands for polymerase chain reaction. In this reaction, gene, that is the segment of DNA of interest, is synthesized in vitro and multiple copies are generated. The main steps of PCR denaturation, where the double strand template DNA is heated to separate it into single strands. Annealing, where the temperature is lowered to enable the DNA primers to attach to template DNA. Extension, where the temperature is raised and the new strand of DNA is made by tag polymerase enzyme. So the answer for this question is option C. Addition of nucleotides to the primer by DNA polymerase. Question number 56. Which of the following will occur if lysosomes within a cell are damaged? Lysosomes are organelles derived from Golgi bodies who are very rich in almost all type of hydrolytic enzymes, hydrolases, lipases, proteases, carbohydrases. These enzymes have the capacity to digest carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. Malfunction of this organelle will hamper the ability to break down complex molecules in the cytoplasm. So the answer for this question is option C. The ability of the cell to break down molecules in its cytoplasm would decrease. Question number 57. Typhoid is caused by a Typhoid is mainly caused by bacterium Salmonella typhimurium or Salmonella typhi. Other species causing typhoid are Salmonella paratype A and Salmonella paratype B. They are gram-negative bacteria. They cannot retain gram strain in the presence of alcohol. They are rod-shaped bacteria measuring 2 to 4 mu micron in length and 0.5 to 0.8 mu micron in width. They are motile and possesses multiple flagella. So it is called as peritrichous flagella. They are facultative anaerobes. So the answer for this question is option C. Gram-negative flagellated bacterium. Question number 58. Observe the diagram and state the false statement. The electrocardiogram is a report generated depicting the electrical activities of the heart. It resembles a graph paper showing time in a on the x-axis and current in millivolt on the y-axis. The wave 1 is the P wave, which indicates the current generated from sinoatrial node going towards both the atria and AV node. The P wave represents the electrical activity, atrial depolarization, and segment PQ indicate the muscular activity of atrial contraction. The waves 2, 3 and 4 are called QRS complex waves, which represent the electrical activity, ventricular depolarization indicating that the current moves from the AV node to the bundle of phase to the Purkinje fibers. The ST segment after that represent the muscular activity of the ventricular contraction. The wave 5 is the T wave, which represents the electrical activity, ventricular repolarization. The segment after that indicates the muscular activity of the ventricular relaxation. So the answer for this question is option C. Wave 5 represent ventricular depolarization which causes ventricular relaxation. So the correct option is C. Question number 59. Which of the following is not part of a typical embryo sac formation in angiosperms? The MMC undergoes meiotic division to form 4 megaspores. There are 3 mitotic divisions that forms 8 nucleate stage. The cell walls are formed within 3 cells grouped together at the micropylar end called the egg apparatus. There are 3 cells at the salazal end that are called antipodal cells, which degenerate during fertilization. There are also 2 centrally placed nuclei called as polar nuclei. So the answer for this question is option C. The cell walls are formed with 3 cells grouped together at the salazal end together called as egg apparatus. That is the wrong statement. Question number 60. The correct statement about dialysis is: dialysis is used to provide an artificial replacement for lost kidney function in people with renal failure. Dialysis may be necessary in patients with acute kidney failure to bridge the time gap requirement for treating the fundamental causes and as holding measures in patients with irreversible end stage chronic kidney disease. It is generally called as CKD stage 5 until transplantation is performed. Sometimes dialysis is the only supportive measure in patient with the end stage CKD when transplantation is not possible. In this process, the blood is drained from the convenient artery and an anticoagulant like heparin is added to prevent clotting of blood, and cleared blood is pumped back to the body through vein. After adding antiheparin to it, dialysis treatment replaces only some of the kidney functions like deficiency, that means waste removal, and ultrafiltration, that means fluid removal. Thus, dialysis is an imperfect treatment to replace kidney functions because it does not correct the endocrine functions of the kidney. So the answer for this question is option B. The dialysis unit into which blood is drained contain heparin to prevent coagulation. This is the correct statement of one. The gestation period in human is the fusion of haploid male gamete and the haploid female gamete to form diploid zygote called fertilization. In human females, fertilization is internal and it takes place in the ampulla of the fallopian tube. Fertilization occurs within 6 hours after ovulation. The condition of carrying one or more embryos in the uterus is called pregnancy or gestation. Human pregnancy lasts for an average of 266 days from fertilization of the egg or 280 days from the start of the last of menstrual cycle. So the answer for this question is option A. Gestation period in humans 280 days from the end of the last menstrual cycle. So the correct option is A. Question number 62. Will correct fill A, B, C and D in the following paragraph. The microspore develops into the pollen grain. The outer layer is called exine. The inner layer is called intine and it is made up of cellulose and pectin. In 60% of angiosperm, pollen grain shed at 2-celled stage. In others, they shed at 3-celled stage as the generative cell divides mitotically to form two male gametes. So the answer for this question is option D. Microspore. A represent microspore, B represent exine, C represent pectin, and D represent 2. So the correct option for this question is option D. Question number 63. Each of the following statement concerning the seminiferous epithelium is correct except consists of population of Sertoli cells and spermatogenic cell line. Sertoli cells and the thickness of the seminiferous epithelium. Sertoli cells characteristics including the distribution of their intracellular junctions divide the seminiferous epithelium into basal compartments containing one spermatogonia and an compartment containing primary and secondary spermatocytes, spermatids and spermatozoa. The differentiation of spermatogonia into spermatids does not begin until puberty. Thus, the seminiferous epithelium does not contain spermatids prior to puberty like all epithelial layers. The basal surface of the seminiferous epithelium is bounded by the basement membrane. So the answer for this question is option A. Before puberty, it contains spermatids. Question number 64. Respiratory system plays an important role of enabling gas exchange and supply of oxygen to the animals. Although the basic mechanism of the system remains same, animals display variations in the respiratory system. In the following columns, match the animals with their organs for respiration. The respiratory system is the organ system helping animals in breathing and gas exchange to utilize oxygen for respiration process. Animals show variation in their way obtaining the oxygen depending upon their complexity, habitat, among other factors. Kangaroo, the mammal that obtains oxygen from the air via the lungs. Pomfret is a type of fish that uses gills for breathing in water. Cockroach is a simpler invertebrate compared to kangaroo and pomfret using tube-like structure called tracheae. Lastly, earthworm, annelid, that uses its moist cuticle region for exchange of gases enabling breathing. So the answer for this question is option B. The correctly matching one is option B. In an average menstrual cycle of 28 days, which of these events is correctly matched with the time of its occurrence? The changes that takes place simultaneously in the ovaries and uterine wall, it is always called as endometrium of the female reproductive tract, stimulated by different concentrations of gonadotropins like follicle stimulating hormones and luteinizing hormones is called menstrual cycle. It is mainly made up of, there are 4 stages. Menstrual phase or destructive phase, that is first to 4th day, endometrium degenerate. Proliferative phase or follicular phase that occurs 5th to 13th day. High follicular stimulating hormone level stimulates the primordial follicle to mature into Graafian follicles. Then ovulatory phase, 14th day, the release of ovum takes place. Then luteal phase, or it is always called as secretory phase, 15th to 28th day, rise in progesterone levels and the endometrium secretes nutrients for implantation. So the answer for this question is option C. Endometrium secretes nutrients for implantation 15th to 28th day. So the correct option is C. Question number 66. Which of the following is developed through mutational breeding? Resistance to the yellow mosaic virus in Bindi was achieved by mutation breeding. Mutation breeding is a process where mutations are induced. It is induced usually through a use of chemicals or radiations or using such plants as source of breeding. Other transformations were achieved through hybridization and selection. So the answer for this question is option B. Resistance to yellow mosaic virus in Bindi. Question number 67. Which of the following is incorrect regarding copper T? Intrauterine device or the contraceptive inserted by doctors or expert nurses in the uterus through vagina. Copper releasing IUDs such as the copper T act as increasing phagocytosis of sperms within the uterus, and the copper ions released suppresses sperm motility and the fertilization capacity of sperms Ovulation is controlled by follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormones. Copper tea does prevent ovulation. So the answer for this question is option D, preventing ovulation. Question number 68. In a double stranded DNA, one of the nitrogen base is adenine, whose amount is found to be always equal to the amount of. The nitrogen bases in both strands of DNA are attached via hydrogen bonding from base pairs. Adenine makes two hydrogen bonds with thymine from the opposite strand, vice versa. Similarly, guanine is bound to cytosine with three hydrogen bonds. Hence, as a rule, pyrimidine will always bind to a purine. Herwin Chogup gave the observation that for double-stranded DNA, the ratios between adenine and thymine and guanine and cytosine are constant and equals. Thus, the amount of adenine and thymine is the same and the guanine and cytosine is the same. So, the answer for this question is option B, 5-methyl uracil, which is pyrimidine. Question number 69. Sterilization are the last option for couples because sterilization is the permanent method of birth control. It is a surgical process called vasectomy. That means cutting of vas deferens in males and tubectomy, cutting of fallopian tube in females. Since it involves surgery, not many couples opted for it. Also, the expertise to perform these surgeries is not present in many parts of India, especially the rural areas. Many couples don't opt for it as they believe that it reduces sex drive, which is misconception. So the answer for this question is option D. For the last option for couples, due to all four reasons. So the correct option is option D. Question number 70. A patient comes to the clinic with a genetic disorder characterized by webbed neck and the presence of rudimentary ovaries. This person most likely has Turner syndrome. The disorder is caused due to the absence of one of the X chromosomes. These have only 45 chromosomes. Such females are sterile as ovaries are rudimentary. They lack other secondary sexual characters. They have short neck with webbed appearance, low hairline at the back of the neck, short neck with webbed appearance, low hairline at the back of the neck, low set ears, hands and feet that are swollen or puffy at birth. So the answer for this question is option B, which is X. Alveoli is the site for gaseous exchange in the respiratory system of humans. Gas exchange occurs due to the gradient in the partial pressure of gases. During the process, the partial pressure of oxygen in alveoli is found to be the pressure exerted by the particular gas in a mixture of gases is called partial pressure. For a smooth exchange of oxygen, the partial pressure of oxygen must be higher in alveoli than in the blood capillary, creating gradient for the movement of gases from the high to low. It must be higher than deoxygenated blood and more than in tissues. The partial pressures of oxygen and carbon dioxide at different parts of the respiratory system as follows. In the respiratory gas, carbon dioxide at different parts of the respiratory system is given the table book in the form of tabular column. Refer the respiratory gas at option B, more than that in oxygenated blood. Question number 72. Which of these statements is correct regarding genes present on the same chromosome? Genes located on the same chromosome and have a greater tendency to be inherited together are called tightly linked genes. The distance between these genes is very less and hence there is a very little chance for crossing over. Thus, they show very few recombinations. Loosely linked genes have a greater distance between them and hence there is a greater chance of crossing over. Thus, they show many recombinations. So, the answer for this question is option A. Tightly linked genes on the same chromosome show very few recombinations. Question number 73. It has been found that the domestic horses have 64 chromosomes in the cells. Predict the number of chromosomes in the egg cells of the female horse. Egg cells are the type of gametes that participates in the process of sexual reproduction. These cells are known as have half of the chromosome content compared to other somatic cells. These cells are formed by undergoing meiotic division, which reduce the chromosome set from the diploid to haploid. Since the diploid cells of the horse, if having 64 chromosome, then its egg cell, that is a gametic cell, will have half, that is 32 chromosomes. So the answer is option B, 32 chromosomes. Question number 74. A colorblind man has colorblind sister but normal brother. Which of these is correct about their parents? Colorblind man has one X chromosome with the gene for colorblindness, which he receives from his mother. His colorblind sister has two X chromosome, each with the gene for colorblindness. She has received one of these from her father and one from her mother. So thus, from this information, we can conclude that their father is colorblind and their mother has at least one X chromosome for colorblindness. Also, they have normal brother. That means their mother has one X chromosome without color blindness. Mother has one X chromosome without color blindness genes. Hence, mother is a carrier. So the answer for this question is option A. Father is colorblind and mother is a carrier. Question number 75. Which of these are an incorrectly matched pair of the post-Mendelian phenomena and its examples? In incomplete dominance, the dominant gene is not fully expressed. It is seen in the flowers of snapdragon or antirrhinum majors. In pleiotropy, one gene controls two or more characters. The gene causing sickle cell anemia is a pleiotropic gene. The sickle cell HBS allele also has a pleiotropic effect on the development of many tissues and organs such as bone, lungs, kidney, spleen, heart. When many genes control one character and they have an additive effect on it, they are called polygenes. The color of the wheat kernel is controlled by two genes. Wings in Drosophila is an example of multiple allelism. There are different alleles in Drosophila for normal wings, notched wings, naked wings, strap wings, and vestigial wings. The answer for this question is option B, codominance, the type of wings in Drosophila. Question number 76. The human body cell contains a huge number of enzymes which are bicatalyst and help in smooth metabolic activities. What will be the body temperature and pH value for enzymes to work at optimum level? Enzymes functionality depends on the temperature and pH as these two factors controlling its activity. The biocatalyst displays the highest activity at a particular temperature and pH, which is generally called optimum temperature and pH for particular enzyme. Since the body temperature of the human body remains constant at 37 degrees Celsius and approximately pH value is 7. These values are considered as an optimum conditions for enzyme of the human body to work efficiently. So the answer for this question is option C, 37 degrees Celsius and the pH level is 7. Question number 77. A and father's blood group is AB, then child's blood group cannot be. Father has AB blood group, so is genotype I power A, I power B. Mother has A blood group, so our genotype could be I power A, I power A, or I power A, I power 0. For getting all the possibilities, we have to assume that mother heterozygous. Father will produce two types of gametes, one with I power A while the other I power B. The mother will also produce two types of gametes, one with I power A while another one with I power 0. So the answer for this question is option C, O. Blood. Number 78. Why Mendel can be considered lucky? dominance, some organisms show co-dominance and incomplete dominance. If Mendel would have observed co-dominance and incomplete dominance, he would be confused and would not be able to deduce the law of dominance. Also, the phenomena of linkage is seen in some genes where the independent assortment is not seen. If Mendel would have observed it, he would be confused and would not be able to deduce the law of independent assortment. Thus, Mendel was lucky as he didn't encounter these deviations. So, the answer for this question is option A. All seven selected by him showed complete dominance and all allelic pair combinations which he considered for diabetes showed independent assortment. So, the correct option is A. Question number 79. The below image cell cycle of typical eukaryotic cell using the image as reference determine the activities occurring at G1 phase of the cell cycle. G1 phase is the part of interphase in cell cycle process of eukaryotic cell. G1 phase is the stage between mitosis and initiation of DNA replication S phase. In the G1 phase, the cell is found to be metabolically active and shows continuous growth. S or synthesis phase is where DNA synthesis or replication takes place in the cell. So the answer for this question is option A, growth of cell. Question number 80. What is not true about mutation according to Hugo Dury's theory? Hugo Dury's, based on his work on evening primrose, brought forth the idea of mutation. Large difference arising suddenly in a population. He believed that it is a mutation that causes evolution and not the minor variations that Darwin talked about. Mutation are random and directionless, while Darwinism variation are small and directional. Ego Duris believed saltation, that is a single step large mutation caused the formation of species. Saltation is a single step large mutation. So the answer for this question is option D. A single step large mutation to produce a species can never occur. Lactose is digested by the human body. Each lactose molecule is broken down into smaller molecules. To which of the following categories of molecules do these smaller molecules belong? Lactose is a disaccharide category of carbohydrates. On hydrolysis, it produces two monosaccharides, glucose and galactose. The non-hydrolyzable group, which is crystalline to taste and has asymmetric carbon atoms, is a monosaccharide. The group having zwitter ions is an amino acid. They are used in making proteins. The group which is esters or lipids, nitrogen is absent in monosaccharides. So the answer for this question is option B. The non-hydrolyzable group which is crystalline, sweet to taste and has asymmetric carbon atoms. Question number 82. The unit Haldane's hot dilute soup was. According to Haldane, there was a time during the evolution of life when simple organic molecule, that is generally called as monomers, were just formed and they accumulated at the bottom of the sea. He called it hot dilute soup or primitive broth. There were no oxygen available at the time. Also, proteins were not formed yet and there were no enzymes. Hence, there was no degradation of molecules. So, the answer for this question is option A. Its molecules did not show any degradation as there was no free oxygen and enzymes. Question number 83. A sample was given to the lab figuring out whether the cells of the sample come under the category of prokaryote or eukaryote. Four of the dyes are described in the table below. Four determining process. The eukaryotic cell has the defined nucleus where it is absent in prokaryotic cell. The best would be for lab tech to use Nile blue dye which will stain the nuclei. Since nuclei are absent in prokaryote, there will be no successful staining whereas the eukaryotic will get stained and help to determine the type of cell sample DNA, lipids and cytoplasm is commonly found in both the cell types. So the answer for this question is Option C, Nile blue. Question number 84. Refer to the figure given below and identify the correct taxonomic group to which the organism belongs to. The order primate of class Mammalia include prosimians, it is generally called as lemurs, tarsiers, and related forms, and anthropoids, it includes monkeys, apes, and humans. This given diagram is of the tarsier. They are the ancestors of humans. They are now found only in Southeast Asia in countries such as the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, etc. They have large eyes raised forward. They are called, their ankle is enlarged. Most of the digits have nails, but the most of the hind feet bear claws. They are arboreal, living on trees. So the answer for this question is option D, prosimy. Question number 85. Arrange the following process in chronological order. About cancer, several genes called cellular oncogenes, generally called as C-onc or proto-oncogenes, have been identified in normal cells, which when activated under certain conditions could lead to the oncogenic